to the Free Kick Podcast. My name is Todd. And look, they all don't have to be pretty, but a win's a win. And boy, did the Philadelphia Union earn the win last night against Charlotte FC. A team that caught me by surprise a little bit, I think. And I don't know about you guys, I wasn't expecting Charlotte to come in here and dominate the Union like we saw last season down in Charlotte. But I didn't expect them to play as well as they did defensively. Offensively, yeah, it wasn't really there last night for Charlotte, but in the midfield and defensively, yeah, they were really, really solid. A very well organized team, and I think it took an own goal for the Union to get a win against Charlotte, and Charlotte probably feel a little bit hard done where they feel like they probably didn't deserve to lose that game. And you can argue from their side, yeah, maybe they didn't deserve to lose that game. But at the same time, the scoreline for sure could have been 2-3 goals for the Union if a couple goals weren't called for offsides and, the own goal. But at the end of the day, you'll take 3 points. It doesn't matter how you get it. You're on a 3-game winning streak. And for people, again, I go back, and I know I said it last episode too, but you look how the Union have played since April 22nd, or even before that. Go back to the Chicago game where the Union were down 2-0, and I remember myself getting annoyed watching that game. Chicago was outplaying the Union, and then 5 minutes of brilliance, the Union get 2 goals and tie the game up, and it ends 2-2. And you cannot discredit this team's commitment to getting points, and they've done a better job than just getting points. So getting all 3 points the last several weeks here, where the last 5 games they've only drawn once. 3-game winning streak with Montreal, we know, one Saturday. And I was listening to some fans talk after the game while I was walking down to the press area, and I was hearing some people say, it doesn't really matter what happened Saturday. It doesn't matter what formation we throw out there, what team we throw out there. No, as long as we can get points. But I don't think that's the majority of this fan base. I feel like the majority of the fan base, for sure the team, they're saying they want all 3 points, because I was thinking about this today at work, and we're not going to have a new segment. We're not going to do Blunder of the Week because I got off late from work, and I am recording this podcast pretty late at night here, and I want to make sure you guys have the podcast on Friday and Saturday for all you slackers that wait till the last minute leading up to game day listening to the podcast. So I don't want to have a super long show. And again, I know every time I say that I jinx myself, but I'm hoping with me cutting out all these different segments for this episode, we won't go past an hour. We'll see, right? But the plan's definitely not to go past an hour this episode. And honestly, the plan's really not to go past 45 minutes. But again, every time I mention that, it always happens, right? It always goes over. But the Union have to get all 3 points leading up to the Gold Cup, right? Because I don't think this is being mentioned by people in the stadium. I haven't really seen it mentioned on social media. But with the Gold Cup coming up on June 16th is the first game, the Union are going to miss Andre Blake for quite a few games. And so I don't care if it's Montreal and you think the Union can get all 3 points with whatever lineup they put out there. That's not the case. Montreal's been playing a lot better than when we last saw them all the way back in March, right? They've been really, really good under Hernan Losada, which, mind you, they got rid of a ton of players. They didn't bring in any of Losada's targets because they hired him late in the window. And Montreal's never a team that spends a lot of money. And remember, everybody's making fun because the Union were the first one on the season, and they had started the season 1-7. But you look, their last 7 games, only 1 loss, 4 wins, 2 draws, where they had to come from behind victory over DC United on Wednesday night down in DC. This team fights for Hernan Losada, and you've got to put your best team out there. You can't just be playing for points, especially with Cincinnati running away with not only the Eastern Conference, but the Supporters Shield. And with Andre Blake going to be gone for the Gold Cup, you want to make sure you get all 3 points for the remaining games that he's going to be here for until he goes away with Jamaica. Because look, let's face it, whether it's Joe Bendik or Holden Trent, you don't feel as confident with them in the goal as you do with Andre Blake. When you look at the schedule, it gets difficult with San Jose on the road. And then after San Jose, you have Orlando City on a Wednesday. And so you go all the way from the West Coast to the East Coast in a couple of days. That's a lot of travel. Then you have Inter Miami at home. And then you have Atlanta United, LA Galaxy, Nashville, New York City. And then the league takes a break because of Leagues Cup. So you could potentially miss Andre Blake for the Orlando City game, Inter Miami game, Atlanta United game, LA Galaxy game, Nashville game, and potentially the New York City game if Jamaica gets it that far in the Gold Cup. And majority of those games are on the road. So it's very important that the Union get all 3 points this Saturday against Montreal. So that's something I think fans should keep in mind, that the Union are going to be without Andre Blake. And things are going great right now for the Union. And we're all happy, all having a great time. But we saw what this team looked like in Montreal with Joe Bendik in goal. We saw what this team looked like against Orlando City with Joe Bendik in goal. And Joe Bendik's a great player to have in the locker room to motivate the players. But to rely on him to be your starting goalkeeper for 4 or 5 games, it's a little bit sketchy. And I think I did see a fan a few weeks ago when somebody asked what's the most important piece that your team adds this transfer window, and somebody said goalie, and I was thinking to myself, no. Why would they do that? But it does make sense if Jamaica goes far in the Gold Cup, and if you don't have that high of confidence in Joe Bendik, then yeah, maybe it does make sense to go out there and get another goalkeeper. I don't think the Union are going to do that. They have confidence in Joe Bendik, and the question is, do you guys, the fans, have confidence in Joe Bendik? And the answer to that is no. But let's go ahead and talk about this Philadelphia Union versus Charlotte FC game. As we know, that game ended 1-0 thanks to a Kalina own goal. And this game couldn't have started any better for the Union, with a quick throw-in from Kai Wagner. Finds a wide open Daniel Gazdag, who finds Leon Flach. And what a beautiful touch by Leon Flach to get into space and then allow him to have that cutback to Julian Kranza, whose shot hits off the crossbar. And that changes the whole game if the Union score within the first minute of the game. And I'm not saying that Charlotte sat deep because they didn't. There was times where they were playing a super high line. And then there was times in the game when they were sitting deep because the Union had them pinned pretty deep in their own defensive half of the field. But if the Union go up 1-0 a minute into this game, now Charlotte's chasing the game for majority of the time. Now you're going to have counterattacking opportunities, and maybe the Union do put a couple balls in the back of the net. But it doesn't happen. They only get one goal. But man, just what a play by Leon Flach. And Mikhail Uhre had a goal that was ruled off for offsides, which Charlotte goes right down the field with a goal kick. They have a chance with Vargas, where Kai Wagner bites on the ball, and Leon Flach comes up with a huge block. And since we've mentioned Leon Flach twice already within 3 minutes of this segment, let's keep talking about him. Because he was incredible, in my opinion. And spoiler alert, he's in my top 3 for stars on the night. And this is a player where fans love to complain about him offensively. Fans question why he's out on the field. Fans question, oh, why aren't you playing Jesus Bueno? Why aren't you playing blah, blah, blah over him? But if we're being honest, and you guys will see this in the goal breakdown video because only one goal was scored. So I figured, why not pick out other highlights from the game last night and break down, show you guys what I saw, some key moments in that game. And Leon Flach should have had 2 assists last night. The one where Julian Kranza hits the crossbar, like we said, a minute into the game. And then he plays a chip ball over the top for Mikhail Uhre, who the referees say is offsides. I don't know. That was extremely close. I would love to know what they thought was offsides on Mikhail Uhre's body. Great ball over the top by Leon Flach. But this is a player right now that is showing us that he's full of confidence. And why is he confident? It's because he's playing in his natural position. He's playing in the double pivot. How many times have I said it on this podcast? I'm pretty sure I played a clip last year from Leon Flach talking in the locker room saying, yeah, he prefers to play in a double pivot than to play as a lone 6 or playing as an outside 8. And now, 3 games in, the double pivot, and Leon Flach looks extremely comfortable. But not only does Leon Flach, this whole team looks comfortable. And playing with 3 center backs that are great in 1v1 defending, it gives Jose Martinez and Leon Flach the confidence to push forward. Because if they push up high and lose the ball, they have enough confidence that, one, both Leon and Jose aren't going to both be pushing up. If they do, okay, it's a little bit of an issue. But if it does happen, you've got 3 center backs that are confident in 1v1 defending. And we saw this a couple times last night where Charlotte tried to hit the Union quickly. They'd play a ball out wide, and Damian Lowe would come from his central defensive position and have a fast sprint out wide to close down the opposing player to winning the ball back. And having a player like Damian Lowe, I think he complements both Jacob Glesnes and Jack Elliott extremely well because neither one of those center backs are pacey. They're great defenders. But if you get one of these players like Vargas, extremely speedy, you're going to want somebody that can keep up with him pace-wise. And that's where Damian Lowe comes into the mix, and he complements both Jack Elliott and Jacob Glesnes very well, in my opinion. And knowing that as one of the 2 6s, that's why you're okay. Losing the ball up high in the field, and the other team's now trying to hit you on the counterattack because you have 3 center backs, like I mentioned, that are great in 1v1 defending. And that's 3 straight wins now. Playing 3 in the back, 5 in the back, whatever you guys want to call it. We're not playing the diamond. This formation works. And not only does this formation work, not only is the team winning, but the players are feeling comfortable in this formation. According to Daniel Gazdag after the game, he told us, yeah, he enjoys playing in this formation. The only players that it's different to is Leon Flach and Jose Martinez, as they're playing in double pivot, but nothing really changes for the three attackers up front. It's the same it would be if we were still playing in the diamond. Their movement off the ball, their movement into the channels, their connection with each other, it's all the same still. The only thing that changes is you're playing with three center backs and that double pivot. But the players look confident in it. 3 straight wins, and you guys know the saying, right? If it ain't broke, don't fix it. How many times have you guys heard that in your life? How many times are you seeing that being tweeted out on social media every time the lineup comes out and it's been 3 in the back? And it's true though, right? Don't fix it. And I know Jim Curtin opened his press conference last night and said that because of the personnel available, that's the reason why the Union went to this formation change, and that he doesn't feel great playing this formation because he likes the diamond so much. But then the clip you guys are about to hear, Jim Curtin changes it up and says, yeah, I do like playing in this formation. But what has Jim noticed about Leon Flach and Jose Martinez and that double pivot?
They're starting to get a good understanding of when one goes forward, the other will be there to hold. And then you also have the luxury of, we have 3 center backs that I'll put one-on-one against any group of attackers, and we can just let them be, which is, I'll just say, a luxury a lot of teams don't have, because the attacking players in this league are so dynamic and dangerous, but Damian in space, Jacob in space, and Jack Elliott, they can all go 1 versus 1, and you can leave them. So knowing that as a midfielder, you can take a little more risk and be a little bit more brave when there's 3 big center backs back there waiting. And also, when Leon was forward, Jose's always there to protect and cut off passes to Swiderski. And then when, Jose got forward a little bit too, same thing. So they're getting an understanding of each other, which is good. It's a formation I think we can go to. And, look, we all want to be like Man City, right? Of course, we'd like to all that Pep's almost made it this fake thing for people to chase because it's impossible to do what they do. So I watch teams like Brentford, and I watch what Brentford does. And when they play at home, they play a certain way, similar to how we play, 4-4-2 diamond, and we go and we get after the game and we high press against certain teams. When they go on the road and they play against the top 6 teams, if you look at it, they play in a back 5. They're a little more stable. They take a little less risk, but they also get points against the top teams. So I'm not saying we're a lower team, but I also know that we're a team that, I think it's something we can go to now when we go on the road against the upper tier teams. Now we can go to this back 3, which I really like. So you're always looking for little things to add to the group, and to the players' credit, man, they've taken on a new formation in a pretty quick amount of time and have done well. And that's a credit to the 3, right? Damian, it's a credit to Damian. It's a credit to Elliott, and it's a credit to Glesnes. So as they kind of go, I'm rambling now, but I'm going to keep rambling. If you play with a back 3, a back 5, or a back 4, it doesn't really matter, right? When we play with a 3, that means there's 7 guys to go and hunt the ball, and we want them to be aggressive. If it's 4, the 4 control the space, stepping and dropping, and now you have 6 guys to hunt the ball. So the benefit of the 3 is we have 7 guys that will just go and press, which is good. And I think we turned them over a few times in some tough spots, and we can still get better for sure, but it's a good win tonight.
Yeah, and Jim's not wrong there. He definitely did ramble a little bit, gave a longer answer than he normally does, but I don't mind that. I like hearing from the coaching staff and letting them dive in a little bit deeper into their tactics, what they're seeing, and same with the players. Like these 10, 20-second answers, okay, they're fine, but most of the time they just keep repeating themselves. But when you start explaining, okay, exactly what's happening, the way that you see it, those answers are really, really well. And, for people maybe that are soccer fans, but they don't understand the game completely, they're casual fans, the more that you watch soccer, you're going to understand it a little bit better. But I also think when you have the coaching staff, when you have the players, or somebody that has high soccer knowledge explaining the ins and outs, it's also going to help you understand the game a lot better. So I do appreciate Jim Curtin going on that rant, and shout out to Greg Oldfield for always seemingly getting Jim Curtin to go on these long rants, always getting the most out of Jim Curtin with his questions. And Greg does great work there with, I almost said, the Brotherly Game. From Philadelphia Soccer Now, they rebranded their website too. So if you guys haven't checked out who were formerly the Brotherly Game, make sure you guys check out their work. Terrific writers, great podcast with the Doopy Brothers. And I appreciate Matt and Greg so much for what they have built the last couple years with taking Brotherly Game and now Philadelphia Soccer Now to the next level with them in Pittsburgh Soccer Now. You guys are covered with soccer all over the state in Pennsylvania. And Greg's been a lot of help here the last couple years in the press box, really good friend, and always enjoy talking with Greg and just hearing his crazy soccer stories, whether it be playing at Penn State, whether it be traveling to England, all the games that he's seen over the years, and all his travels over the years covering soccer. So Greg's a great guy to get in touch with if you guys want to learn more about the game, if you guys want to read great articles. No better place to do it than Philadelphia Soccer Now. And no, they did not ask me to do that, and I'm sure they appreciate the plug. But that's what this community is all about, is just always promoting each other's work and trying to bring you guys the best coverage we can. And I'm rambling just like Jim Curtin did in that clip I played for you guys, but it's always funny to me when I first started this podcast and there wasn't a ton of union podcasts, and people were like, well, how do you feel? All these podcasts are now starting to pop up. Like, is there competition? No, not at all. All the Philadelphia Union podcasts that are out there, everybody does terrific work bringing the best coverage the Union can possibly have. And I'll definitely be biased and say that it's the best coverage for one team in all of MLS. Terrific people, whether it be writing, podcasting, or whatever they're doing to create content. It's terrific stuff here in MLS, and we're definitely lucky to have all the people we have contributing to giving you guys the latest news. But as I went on my Jim Curtin rant there, yeah, it's just great stuff there from Jim Curtin. It's great stuff from Jose Martinez and Leon Flach. How, okay, the pressing changes a little bit. When you're playing three in the back, you have 7 players pressing, and now makes it a little bit more complicated for teams to play out of the back if they're a team that likes to have possession. If you're playing 6 in the back, all right, well, you still have 6 players that are going to press the ball hard, but you have one less person pressing. And Jim's right. It depends on the team they're playing. Okay, are we going to go high press like we saw against New York City? The plan was not to high press, but the high press was working, making New York City uncomfortable. And then you bring that out. And you see last night too, in the second half specifically, and Denny Higginbottom brought this up on the broadcast. You could tell as the game went on, Charlotte were getting more and more tired, and they were having more mistakes. They were getting beat to the ball really bad. And part of that is because they're coming from LA after beating the LA Galaxy. And now they've got to play a Wednesday night game. And, well, they have not been home in Charlotte. So you're on the road for that amount of time and away from your families, and just a lot of travel, adjusting to time zones. Of course, it's going to have an impact. And like I mentioned, I mean, Charlotte definitely could have lost this game 2-3, 4-0. Fortunate to only lose this game by 1 goal. Charlotte, again, maybe they feel like, yeah, they didn't deserve to lose this game. But the Union just kept creating chances, and unfortunate that they weren't able to get multiple goals. And like I mentioned, I mean, just really impressed by Charlotte in the midfield specifically with Derek Jones, which, come on, guys. Why are you guys booing the homegrown Derek Jones? I know. Everybody always says sucks, no matter what player it is, but come on. It's a Philadelphia Union Academy kid. Played a couple of years here for the Union. Ashley Westward, the former Burnley midfielder, terrific player. So good, so dominant, so physical in the midfield. And same with the other midfielder, Bandit Bronico, I believe it was. I mean, you have three physical dogs in the midfield, and they made it tough for the Union to go through the middle when you got three physical players that are going to make you uncomfortable if you try to go through that midfield. And just credit to them. I know they lost, but they were a surprise to me just with how organized they were. And maybe I shouldn't be surprised if I watch more Charlotte FC games. Maybe it's Charlotte finding their form here as of late, but they've been a team that's, at least according to the standings, been really decent this year in MLS, sitting in seventh place, 6 wins, 7 losses, 3 draws. Yeah, they've given up more goals than they've scored, but you know, I think with a team that was struggling earlier in the season, then eventually finding, hey, look, let's not get too cute with the formation changes. Let's just play what was working for us last season. And they go back to a 4-3-3, and it works. And like I mentioned multiple times, to their credit, they were really good defensively in the midfield, not so much offensively. And I guess if you like stats, yeah, the stats definitely show that they're underperforming offensively, but and defensively, they're a really solid team, and I think if they keep this up, they'll definitely be a playoff team. And it's going to be difficult when the Union have to go down there once again in Charlotte. Hopefully, don't get smacked 4-0, but yeah, really good team. And yeah, I'm rambling about Charlotte now, but I try not to be biased anytime that I do the podcast. I always want to make sure I give the other team credit if it's deserved. I don't want to just give credit just to give credit, but yeah, Charlotte definitely deserves credit for the way that they play. Um, One last thing I want to bring up though before we move on to the 3 stars and the 1 goal breakdown. Again, when we do the goal breakdown videos, there's going to be more than just that 1 goal. I'll highlight some plays that stood out to me on the night. So I appreciate you guys that left comments, feedbacks on the latest video. A lot of people just subscribe to the page. So if you haven't yet, be sure you do. Tell your friends about it. YouTube.com/freekickpod. The free kick. You can also find it by searching by the channels. All right, let's not try to plug something again. But the offense, right? The first 15 games of last season compared to the first 15 games this season. The offense is a little bit ahead this year. 21 goals in the first 15 games last year, where they had 22.1 XG. And this year, 24 goals in 15 games, 23.1 XG in 2023. So what's been the difference?
Yeah, look, every season's different. We do have the same personnel for the most part. It's our same group. We've added to some depth to the roster for sure, but it's the same group of guys. We have 3 pretty good players that are away with the U20s right now. We have a captain that's not with us, but we still have ways to grind out wins, which is, I think, the sign of a good, consistent, team. Are we flashy and sexy when we do it every week? No, we're not, but I'll still sign up for 3 points, and the fans go home happy tonight. And we know we can get better. So I think this team, as everyone gets back and everybody gets fit, we'll only continue to improve. And we'll continue to work hard to try to move up this Eastern Conference. It's a good time to try to separate. You guys see where the Eastern Conference is. You can get lost in that shuffle, and then all of a sudden there's 5 games left in a year, and you go, oh man, we better, you got to win, must win start to happen, and you want to separate now rather than wait till the end of the year. And I say that to our guys all the time. I don't know if they listen or not, but I think they get the message, and I think they trust me on that one.
Yeah, and Cincinnati is definitely separating themselves, like I mentioned earlier, not only just in the East, but in the Supporters Shield and standings. 36 points from Cincinnati so far this season. 25 goals for 15 goals against, which is the same as the Union. One loss all season. Yeah, they are flying under Pat Noonan. And the Union, 9 points behind Cincinnati, have some ground to make up. You expect, maybe a couple losses here and there from Cincinnati, but yeah, it doesn't look like they're going to be slowing down anytime soon. And again, it goes back to my point in the beginning when I talked about listening to some fans say, oh, yeah, this game against Montreal doesn't really matter. It does matter. And Jim Curtin just said it too. You don't want to be chasing points at the end of the season. And so it's important that the Union, and I don't think Jim Curtin would get cute with his lineup, just play for points and not 3 points this weekend against Montreal. But with Cincinnati having a 9-point lead on you in the Eastern Conference, with the Gold Cup coming up, you want to make sure you get as many 3 points in these next couple games while you have Andre Blake. And Cincinnati's not going to miss a ton of players come the Gold Cup. Brendan Vasquez, who's been underperforming the last couple games for Cincinnati. Their fans may argue, it's not a huge loss. They're still going to have Acosta. Dominic Badgie's been playing phenomenal the last couple weeks. You still have Sergio Santos. Defensively, you're probably going to lose Matt Miazga, so maybe instead of playing 3 in the back, you go back to a back 4. And so defensively, it hurts a little bit. You're still going to have Woberdo, who is one of the best number 6s in all of MLS. So majority of that team is going to be here throughout the Gold Cup. And I think, losing Andre Blake's a bigger blow for the Union than losing a Brendan Vasquez or Matt Miazga for Cincinnati. So, yeah, very important that you're not chasing points like Jim Curtin said. And I knew what he was going to say when I asked him that question. When he said, yeah, it's the same team from last year, of course. We all know that. And that's a big advantage for the Union where some teams are taking a while to adjust to new formations, new coaches, new players. Well, the Union have had majority of this team together for the last 4 or 5 years. And so that's to their advantage. And yes, it does hurt, right? That you've had the core group of players here for that long and you haven't won a trophy yet, minus the Supporters Shield, the Ultimate Goals MLS Cup. And it hurts that they haven't done that yet. But, with having the core group of the team together, you expect the defense, the offense to continue to click, just like it did last season. And yeah, it took a little bit for the offense to click here, but yeah, boy, are they ever clicking. And looking at Daniel Gazdag and Julian Kranza, Daniel Gazdag since the start of last season and Julian Kranza since the start of last season, 29 goals for Gazdag, 21 for Julian Kranza. They're the only pair of MLS teammates with 20 goals apiece since the start of last season. Dominant players. And that's why it's important that the Union do not sell Julian Kranza this summer. If you sell him, hope that there's a loan back through the rest of the season. But I think this team's continuing to head in the right direction. Was it the prettiest game against Charlotte? No. But they all don't have to be pretty. If you get 3 points, like Jim said, the fans are going to be happy. You guys are happy. The way the Union are playing right now, you guys are happy. And in the press box, in the press conferences, in the locker rooms, it's happy moods. People want to talk. When you're playing good, people have a lot to say. When you're playing bad, nobody ever wants to talk. So, yeah, it's all good vibes around Subaru Park, and long may they continue. But let's go ahead and talk about the 3 stars on the night. Start with number 1, Jack Elliott. 3 interceptions, 7 ball recoveries, 4 to 5 aerials won. And him and Jacob Glesnes, Damian Lowe, they were all terrific. I could put all 3 of the center backs in here for 3 stars on the night, but I didn't think so. I think Jack Elliott was probably the best of the bunch on the night, especially what he was doing in the air, where Charlotte was just sending in cross after cross and long ball over long ball. And Jack Elliott was doing well to deal with those threats over the top, and Jacob Glesnes as well. That's why he's star number 2, where he had 2 interceptions, 8 ball recoveries, 2 out of 2 ground duels, 1. And just really solid on the night for both of those 2 center backs, for 2 guys that covered for when Leon Flach and Jose Martinez would push up, and okay, well, the Union would lose the ball. And now here goes Charlotte trying to counterattack. All 3 center backs stepped up huge on the night, and star number 3 on the night, Leon Flach. And we talked about him a lot 10 minutes, 15 minutes ago, and guys on the goal breakdown videos. A lot of praise for Leon Flach in that video as well. And 1 chance created, 5 ball recoveries, 1 interception, 1 block. Should be 2 chances created, but it does not count for that offsides. But a terrific game for Leon Flach. A game where majority of what he did good won't show up on the stat sheet, and people don't talk about it. I feel like people, whenever Leon Flach has a good game, especially offensively, they just completely ignore how he played. And hopefully, me mentioning Leon Flach here multiple times tonight, if you were one of those people that don't want to give Leon Flach the credit, yeah, maybe this changes your mind. But Leon Flach was excellent, and need more consistent performances like that. And I think we'll continue to get those performances as long as Leon Flach is playing in a formation that he's comfortable in the double pivot. But let's go ahead to the goal breakdown. And so this comes from the Union playing out of the back. They're a team that typically does not play out of the back, especially keeping the ball on the ground. If they play back to Andre Blake, he's sending a goal kick up top. But he goes and plays this ball on the ground to Kai Wagner, who finds Jose Martinez. And it's just quick passing from the Union. And what I love on this play is, yeah, we see the Union last week against New York City. All 3 goals came from long balls. The Union can play pretty tiki-taka, Barcelona-esque soccer. And yes, it happens a lot more when Jack McGlynn's in the team, but he wasn't on the field, obviously, with U20s. And this sequence leading up to the goal, just quick 1-2 passing, the movement off the ball, quick transition soccer that started from playing out of the back. Great stuff. And the ball eventually gets sent to Mikel Ua wide. And Julian Kranza has the ball fall to him, but it gets intercepted by a Charlotte player. Great little dummy there by Daniel Gosling to create that opportunity for Carranza. Good defending by Charlotte. Ball falls from Baize, who lays it to Jose Martinez, who, man, he's going to get close one of these games and actually score, right? Left-footed shot from Jose Martinez, which I did not know that his left foot was that accurate. His shot winds up getting blocked, and the ball falls to Kai Wagner. And I mentioned, Charlotte being tired in the second half of the game. And nobody closes down this ball to Kai Wagner when it ricochets out to him wide left. And so because of that, Kai Wagner is able to take his time going to the ball and then lift his head, pick out the pass to Daniel Gazog. It's a great cross in. Bad defending by Bill Tuiloma, the Charlotte center back that they got from Portland. Just ball watching. Lazy defending on Daniel Gazog. And Kalina is slow to react to this, and Daniel Gazog gets enough of this ball, enough power from the header where it's able to hit off of Kalina in the back of the net. But yeah, a lot of what you see on this play is just Charlotte being tired, and great stuff from the Union. Not the typical ways of getting goals. Playing from out of the back, keeping the ball on the ground. But the Union show in this play that they can get goals that way as well. And so that's pretty much it for the podcast. We'll be around 45 minutes by the time this podcast ends. So yeah, I guess I hit my mark. I mean, I guess it's typical that we're ending around this time as well. Just imagine if we would have had blunder of the week, which we do have a blunder of the week, but we'll save that for the weekend show. And as of now, we have 3 news points that we'll talk about next episode, with Chris Klein getting fired by LA Galaxy, Phil Neville getting fired by Inter Miami, and Minnesota United are finalizing a deal that we'll see for Luis Amarilla going to Liga MX. And so we'll talk about all that a little bit more in depth next episode. But if you guys aren't following the podcast on Twitter, Instagram, or Facebook, follow at Free Kick Pod, wherever you get the podcast, The Free Kick. Again, YouTube channel, youtube.com/freekickpod. Search by channel, The Free Kick. You guys all know the logo. And this Montreal game, I definitely want to get out there. Hopefully it doesn't rain this weekend. And interview some of you guys. Whether this is your first time listening to the podcast, whether it's your 100th time listening to the podcast. If we have not met and you want to meet in person, I'll be at Subaru Park. Would love to do a 1 to 2 minute interview with you guys, put it on the YouTube channel, and have some of those clips be featured in the next podcast episode. So if that's something you guys are interested in, you guys want to be a part of, hit me up on social media. Twitter, I'm most active, but I have all 3 social medias, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Or email me works too, at freekickpodcast@gmail.com, I think. I mean, it's pretty easy to get in contact with me. So yeah, I mean, if you guys want to meet up this weekend, chit chat, meet in person, would love to meet with you guys this weekend at the Montreal game. But that's pretty much it from me. Again, thank you guys for all the feedback you give, and a lot of you guys gave good feedback, said the audio levels were great last episode, so hopefully they continue to be great going forward. And that's pretty much it. I don't think there's anything that I've missed out on telling you guys. I think you guys are caught up on everything you need to know. And still working on the San Jose preview episode, hopefully for next week. And if I get information for that, hopefully I have it for you guys next episode. But until then, my name is Todd, and this is the Free Kick Podcast.